So it occurred to me that I was doing to you what I hated people doing to me. When I first started on this journey of personal development and I started learning all these things. In fact, if I go back further, when I first became a Christian and I started going to the church regularly, I heard a lot of talk about all these different things that were the answer to my problem, right? So in the church, for example, it was like have faith, trust God, right? In personal development, it was build your confidence, be clear on what you want, and all sorts of these other things, right? So get motivation and be disciplined, and all these instructions and all these suggestions on how to do this, how to do things, all this advice on how to achieve the things that I want to achieve. And it was wonderful while I was listening to them. And they were mostly very charismatic, motivational people that I felt attracted and drawn to, and that I could listen to for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. The problem was that after spending and investing all those hours in listening to their sage advice, I would be left with one really important and meaningful and really determining question. And the question was, well, how? How am I supposed to do these things? How do I have more faith? How do I increase my confidence? How do I become more whatever it is that they're telling me I need to become disciplined or whatever? And I know now, especially since I'm part of that industry in a way. I understand that part of the reason why they don't give you the how is because they want you to invest in the how, right? And it's important for you to invest in the how. And that's part of what I do too. I want you to invest in working with me to get all the how and all the knowledge on how to move from A to Z, wherever it is that you want to get to. But it is also kind of frustrating because they promise that they're going to give you everything you need in order to whatever, and they really don't. They tell you what you should do, and sometimes they tell you why you should do it, but they never tell you the how. And I realized that I've been talking about being clear, right, and how important clarity is for a while now, but I don't think I've ever really told you how to work on getting clear. So, what I would love to do today, on Sincerely Speaking, is give you a bit of the how. How do we become clear? What areas exactly are we supposed to get clear on? And what can we start doing today so that we feel like we are making progress towards that clarity that we know we need in order to move forward? So, are you ready to get clear? Let's move all the distractions out of the way and get started. Hi, I'm Marcia Amaro, and I'm your self-leadership coach. What that means is that I'm here to help you figure out exactly what it is that you want, get clear on what your calling is, rediscover what you're meant to bring into this world, and then I'm here to help you get out of the way, get out of your own way so that you can achieve those things that you've been dreaming of doing. You know that there's a calling on your life. You know that there's something that you're meant to bring into this world that nobody else can do in the same way that you can. There's an inkling inside of you that there has to be more. And you've been feeling maybe a little bit stuck, maybe a little bit overwhelmed, maybe a little bit confused about how to move forward and how to bring to life all of this that is inside of you. I'm here to help you do just that. So if you're ready to move from feeling like an imposter to being fully impactful and living a life of meaning, fulfillment, and purpose, stick around because I'm here to help you. And if you'd like additional help, or if you'd like to move to the front of the line and just get an insight scoop into how this works, head on over to marciamaro.com. There's a button on the top that says schedule my free 30-minute path dating call. Click that and schedule a time for us to chat. I guarantee it'll be the best 30 minutes you ever spent on your life. So head on over to marciamaro.com, schedule a time, and I can't wait to see you face to face. Let's chat soon. So we have Skylar with us today. She was not doing well. She wasn't happy. Somebody was making noise. Anyway, so we're going to talk about clarity. And I don't think I need to tell you why clarity is so important, right? Clarity is the starting point. It's the foundation. If you're going to build a house, you don't just start putting blocks one on top of the other or cutting wood in any size and shape that you want, or just throwing things around. You make sure that there's a plan in place, right? You find an architect to design the blueprints, and then you find a contractor that knows how to read those blueprints, and then you go from there, right? So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to act kind of like the contractor in the middle. So the blueprint we can work on in the path paving call, right? We can set that aside and talk about that a little bit later. Just know that there is a blueprint for you to follow, and that what I'm going to give you today is going to help you understand how the pieces in that blueprint come together. So we're going to talk about clarity in 3 different areas. And as we look at each of those areas, I'm going to give you some hows on how to get started working towards developing clarity in these things. Now, before I move any further, there's one thing I want to clarify, and I think it's really important, and that is that nobody is ever 100% clear or certain about anything, right? So let's dispel that notion or that myth that you can be 100% clear, because that doesn't happen. It just doesn't. You can get pretty close, but you're never going to be 100% clear. There's always going to be things that are going to reveal themselves, or that are going to become clearer as you start taking action on the things that you're already clear about. So as 2 of my mentors, Jen Gottlieb and Chris Winfield, say, you don't need to be 100% certain. 51% is enough. So you just need to be a little bit clearer, a little bit more certain than you are uncertain or unclear. And that's what we're aiming for today. By the end of our time together today, if you implement the things that I'm going to tell you, if you do the hows that I'm going to share with you, you are going to get to the space where you are 51% at least clear on what you need to do. And then we can hop on the call, and I can help you get a little bit further into action and into implementation, right? So we are going to get you at least to the space where you are clear, a little bit more clear than you are unclear, right? So 51% is what we're aiming for today. And then to get to 60, 65%, maybe even 75, hop on that 30-minute call with me, and then we'll see where we go from there. All right. Good deal. Awesome. So there's 3 areas in which we need to be clear in order to make any kind of forward progress or achievement in our lives, right? And I think that these 3 areas that we're going to be talking about are extremely important, because nobody ever helps us develop clarity in these things. In fact, as I go through these questions, you're going to notice that these are the 3 toughest questions you will ever have to answer. And I'm going to give you some clues and some cues on how to decide and how to determine the responses to these questions. But here's the thing. Notice that I said how to decide. What we're going to be doing in order to gain this clarity and in order to be in a space where we can move forward is just make some decisions, right? And the thing about decisions is that we can always correct and modify our decisions. So get off this notion or this pressure of feeling like you have to get it right away. Like there is a right answer out there. Like you could get this wrong in any way, shape, or form. You can't get this wrong. You can't mess this up. There's no such thing as a right answer for the things that we're going to be talking about. It's just a decision that you're going to make in 3 different areas, right? And if you need more help with decisions, there's a podcast episode on decision making. Go look for it. I've done tons of videos about it. There's even actually, if you want help with decision making, just send me an email to marcy@marcyamara.com, and I'll send you a video of a decision making workshop that I did a while ago that is going to help you figure out how to make decisions quickly and effectively without getting into FOMO or without tripping yourself up or second guessing yourself. All right. So that's something different. If you want that workshop, marcy@marcyamara.com, just in the subject, put decision making workshop, and I'll know to send it to you. All right. Sound good? Awesome. These are just decisions. So the 3 areas in which we need to gain clarity in order to be able to achieve success are our identity, right? Our destination. And I just did a podcast on destination a few weeks ago, and our standards, right? So our identity, our destination, and our standards. Those are the 3 areas in which we need to gain clarity. Now, I'm going to go through each one and give you the key question and then some suggestions on how you might start moving forward in gaining clarity in that particular area. Sound like a deal? You ready? I hope you have your journal ready, notebook, paper, pen, something to write with, because you are going to want to write these down. Ready? So when we're talking about identity, the main question is, who am I? Who am I? And that sounds simple enough, right? But here's the thing, 99.9% of people, and I'm saying 99.9 because, as you know by now, if you've followed me for a while, I don't like making absolute statements because there's always an exception to the rule, right? But 99% of the time, when you ask people, who are you? Their answer comes in one of three things. They either mention their name, they either mention their profession or their title, or they mention a role that they play, right? So who are you? I'm Marcy. That's your name. That's not who you are. Who are you? I'm an entrepreneur and business owner. I'm a coach. Those are my titles. That is not who I am. Who are you? I'm a wife and a mom. Those are roles I play. That's not who I am. See how it starts getting trickier and trickier? Because I'm willing to bet that when I first asked the question, who am I? And you asked it to yourself, you came up with one of those three things: your name, your title, or your role, or a combination of the three. Am I right? So what is it? My glasses are kind of like tilted. So what is it that we're looking for when we're asking the question, who am I? If we're not looking for my name, my title, or a role that I play, what we're looking for is the essence of descriptions that can help describe, and I know I was just redundant, which is why I stopped, but words that can help describe or explain at my core, at my essence, who I am or who I am designed to be, what I am designed to bring into the world, right? So there's a formula that I received in a leadership training a while back, and I'm going to be completely honest. Completely honest. When I first heard the formula, I thought it was ridiculous. I resisted it. I got angry at it. I thought this person is just taking my money and running with it and just not giving me anything valuable. But I invite you to be a little bit more open than I was when I first heard this formula, right? So what I want you to do is take the time, and this is not something that you're going to be able to do right now, but write this down, right? So you're going to start your statement or your formula with I am, right? I am. Then you're going to write 3 blanks. And at the end, you're going to add either woman, man, leader, or person, right? Woman, man, leader, or person. It's best if you go more specific. So woman, man, or leader, but person will do. But you're going to take a second, right? And sit down and breathe. Maybe put some nice music, right? And think about all the ways in which you want to contribute to the world, all the ways in which you have contributed, all the things that you would like people to know you for, right? And then you're going to do this, and this is the how. And it's going to sound woo, it's going to sound silly, it's going to sound like a waste of time. But trust me for a minute and do this thing. I want you to close your eyes and envision your funeral. I know, not a pleasant thing to think about. And I'm normally really positive, but there's a reason why I'm asking you to do this. So I want you to envision your funeral. And as you envision your funeral, I want you to think about all the people that are coming in as people who love you, as people who you've helped in some way, as people who are better off because they got to know you, as people who are truly, genuinely going to miss you, and people who are going to say to others, I really wish you could have met so and so, right? So imagine those people coming into your funeral. And as they come in, imagine them walking past your casket, taking a look at you and saying, I'm going to miss you because you were so. What are they saying after that? Fill in the blank with that. I am going to miss you so much because you were so blank, right? And keep envisioning person after person coming by. Your parents, if they're alive, your children, your spouse, your best friend, the people that you worked with, the people that you served, your clients, your church members, anybody in your sphere that you impacted in some way or you could impact in some way in the future. And envision them one after the other, walking past your casket, looking down at you, and with tears in their eyes saying, I am going to miss you so much because you were so blank. Now, the word that comes after, the word that fills that blank, is going to be an adjective, right? As you listen to those adjectives, try to think about the patterns that you start listening. I'm going to miss you because you were so wise. I'm going to miss you because you were so empathetic. I'm going to miss you because you were so compassionate. I'm going to miss you because you were so powerful. I'm going to miss you because you were so incredibly gifted. I'm going to miss you because you were so talented, right? Think about those adjectives that start being said. And if they're going to miss you, they're all going to be positive. Nobody's going to say, I'm going to miss you because you were such a miserable human being, right? They're not going to say that. So as you start hearing these adjectives, start noticing the patterns and set a timer before you close your eyes and before you get started, because it's going to feel kind of like a trance. It's going to feel like you go into it and you're like lost in that thought and in that process. So set a timer for 3 minutes. You don't need any more than 3 minutes. When the timer goes off, take your time to open your eyes and write down the adjectives that come to mind, right? So the patterns, the things, the words that you heard over and over and over from these people who love you and who are going to miss you. And then you're going to look at them and you're going to pick the 3 that most stand out to you, right? The 3 that most stand out to you. And that's what goes in the blank. So I am a joyful, compassionate, powerful leader. Or I am a connected, wise, talented woman, right? And you're going to plug those 3 adjectives into those blanks. And if you did the exercise correctly, if you really took the time and you really allowed yourself to get into the flow of the process, you're going to read that statement and it's going to fill your heart. You're going to go, that's who I am. That's who I am. And that is the first step to clarity in who you are and your identity. Because you were fed so much crap. And we are pulled in so many different directions. And we're expected to be so many different things to so many different people that we forget who we were designed or created to be. What we were given as a gift to bring into the world. And this is one of the first ways in which we rediscover that, in which we dive deep into our essence and start tapping back into what we were created to bring into the world. All right. So that's identity. And I apologize ahead of time because a lot of these things that we're going to talk about today are going to feel like I'm taking you somewhere and then I'm pulling you back. So I'm pulling you back. You're going to do this in your own time. You can re-listen to this as many times as you need to, or as many times as you want to. You can even have me in your ear a little bit as I walk you through the process of envisioning the people walking through your casket, which I know sounds weird, but I promise you it's going to be powerful. Okay. And the second one is the destination. And in the destination, I'm going to ask you one of the toughest questions to answer ever. In fact, 100% of the people I've ever asked this question have actually told me the negative instead of the positive first, right? So the question is, what do you want? What do you want? And if you think about it right now, the first thing that's popping into your mind is probably what you don't want. Well, I don't want to work 9 to 5 anymore, or I don't want to feel stuck. I don't want to feel miserable. I don't want to yell at my kids all the time. I don't want to be worried about money. I don't want to, right? So it's all the don'ts. But here's the thing, and I know you know this, wherever we put our focus and our attention, that is where our actions are going to take us. In fact, it's been proven time and time again that if you are ever on a road that is slippery for whatever reason, it's raining or it's Florida ice or it's regular ice or whatever, and the road is slippery, and you're driving and your car starts skidding or starts sliding in a direction, what most people tend to do is look at the nearest wall or the nearest car and think, I don't want to hit that. But if you're looking at the wall or you're looking at the car, guess what you're going to do? You're going to instinctively turn in the direction of what you're focusing on. So you end up hitting what you don't want to hit. So if instead you can train yourself to go, I want to go there, and you work on getting yourself there and you focus on there, on where you do want to go, then chances are greater, much, much greater, that you're going to avoid what you want to avoid because you're focusing on what you want, not on what you don't, right? So in life, we tend to do the same thing. I don't want to worry about money. So what do? We worry about money all the time. And that leads to us needing more money or feeling like we need more money, right? Like lacking. And in that space of feeling like we don't have enough. I don't want to fail at this thing. So we focus on all the ways in which we can fail, and we see them coming and we call them over. And that's why we have this self-fulfilling prophecy effect, right? Self-fulfilling prophecies are self-fulfilling because that's what we focus on. Yes. And I know that there are other things, and I know that sometimes things happen, and I know that there's things outside of our control. I'm not saying that there aren't. But even within a space where things are happening that are not ideal, if you're focusing on what you do want, you experience them differently. They don't take you quite to the space of desperation or depression that they could take you, because you're focusing on what you do want. You're focusing on the positive. You're focusing on where you do want to go. Make sense? So what do you want? That question is really, really important to answer. And in order to get us closer to the how, I'm going to take you through an exercise that I learned from Dean Graziosi. So I've told you before, there's nothing new under the sun, right? Anything that I give you, I learned from somewhere. I just bring it together and I share it with you in a way that hopefully makes sense to you, and that hopefully will bring you closer to where you want to go. So this exercise is called the 7 levels deep, right? And a lot of different people do it with a lot of different ways. He calls the seven layers deep exercise, right? And I think it works really, really well in helping us understand what do we want. Because here's the thing, very, very often what we want is not the thing, is the result or the feeling or the emotion that it produces, right? I'll say that again. Most of the time, what we really want is not the thing, is what it can bring us, is the feeling, the result, the emotion that it can generate in us once we create it, once we have it, right? So for example, most people say they want more money, but what they really want is not the money, is what the money can give them, right? If money in itself was valuable, then we would all want to carry cash around because we want the comfort and the safety of having the actual money. But we're satisfied with a number on the internet or a number on our phone that represents how much money we are supposed to have in the bank. Is the money really there? No, right? If we went to Europe and we had to change dollars for euros, would we object? Would we complain? No. I mean, we might complain that the rate of exchange doesn't favor the dollar, right? But we're not going to complain. If we went to another country where it favored the dollar, we definitely wouldn't complain. But it's not about the dollar itself. It's not about money. It's about what money can get us, regardless of where we're at, right? So it's not about having the money. It's about the fact that having the money, or the money helps me pay for a roof over my head, helps me pay for food to eat, it helps me pay for clothes to wear, right? It's the fact that if I have enough money, I can go on the vacation. That if I have enough money, I can provide for my girls a better future and what they want. It's about the fact that the money brings something else. So it's not the money, right? And when we have a hard time parting with money, is because we haven't really understood what money is and how it works. But that's a conversation for a different time, right? Right now, just understand that what we say we want is never about the thing. It's about the result that that thing can bring. It's about the emotion that is attached to it. It's about the identity that it helps us live up to, right? It's about status. It's about a lot of other things, but not about the thing. So here's what I want you to do. First, on a sheet of paper, I wanted to just answer the question, what do you want? What do you want? And I want you to think about it and really ask it to yourself several times. Don't be satisfied with the first answer. What do you want? So what do you want? Money. Okay. What do you want? I really want freedom. What do you want? Well, I want to be able to buy what is needed without concern for how much it costs, right? And just keep going deeper and deeper and deeper, and ask yourself at least 3 or 4 times, what do you want? Once you get to the what do you want, that actually makes sense. And you're like, yeah, that's what I want. Because if I have this, then all these other things are going to come with it, right? All the other things that I said I wanted are part of this. So this is what I really want. This is at the source. Then you're going to go into the 7 layers deep exercise, right? And this is where what Dean Graziosi teaches. The first part is mine. Anyway, so not anyway, so the 7 layers deep. So now that you know what you want, ask yourself, why do I want it? So let's say that your bottom answer is, I want to be able to provide for my daughters anything that they need and want, right? Why do I want to be able to provide for my daughters anything that they need, I want, and want? Well, because whatever, right? I don't want to give you too many answers. I don't want to feed this to you, right? But whatever your answer is, okay, why is that important to me? Level number 2. Then once you answer that, okay, then why is that important to me? Level number 3. And you're going to keep going until you get to the 7th why. And yes, it feels excessive. And yes, when you get to the 4th one, you're going to be like, I don't know, because, right? But stick with it and make yourself get to the layer number 7. Because if you do this correctly, if you really put your heart and soul into it, when you get to the 6th layer, you're going to be in tears. And when you get to the 7th layer, you're going to have so much to fight for. You're going to be so incredibly pushed and motivated and prompted to do the thing that it's not even going to be a question that you're going to get there. All right. So what do you want? That's the second one. And then the final one is your standards. And standards is something that to me felt like, okay, so what is the difference between a goal and a standard? Or what on earth is a standard? How do I even think about standards, right? Because we talk about standards all the time, but who really can define standards? Very few people actually give you even a working definition of standards that makes sense. So I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to give you the question that goes with standards. And then I'm going to tell you why that question is the question for standards and what standards really are, right? So you ready? Standards, the question is, what are you willing? What are you willing to do, go through, or sacrifice in order to get what you want? Or in order to be the person that you need to be? Get it? So what are you willing to do, risk, sacrifice in order to achieve the thing or do the thing? Because see, standards are our measurements and our gauges for progress and for success, right? Standard is what we're satisfied with and what we're not willing to put up with. So it's that meeting space where, okay, I'm satisfied if I get to this, but I'm not willing to put up with staying here or below. Make sense? So if I am going to lose weight, for example, and I use weight because it's a simple one for us to visualize, right? So if I am on an achievement track to losing 20 pounds, and my standard is that I am going to be willing to do sacrifice or whatever, anything that I need to do in order to lose 2 pounds a week, then I'm not willing to put up with losing 38 ounces or half a pound, whatever it might be, right? I'm not going to be satisfied with anything other than those 2 pounds. Anything below those 2 pounds is going to cause me to sit down and evaluate what happened and how can I reach that goal the next time, right? So the standards are that measurement, that level where you are clear, right? Where you are clear that you're making progress and where you can actually gauge and see, okay, if I didn't make it there, what tweaks do I need to make? So the standards help you know when you're moving in the right direction. They help you know when you're making progress. They also help you figure out what needs to shift or change if you're not. Make sense? So what are you willing to do, risk, sacrifice, learn, start, finish, end, add, that is going to move you in the direction of what you need to do? So how do we figure out the standards? Well, now that we know what we want and who we are, Standards marry those two things, right? So if I am this and I still don't have what I want, what new modifications, what new changes, what new identity shifts do I need in order to be the person that is going to achieve these things that I'm looking to achieve, what I want to do, where I want to get to, right? And once I know, okay, right now I'm saying that I am this, and I understand that I am this because I see it, and the people around me see it. But if this isn't taking me here, what else do I need to be? What do I need to add? What do I need to shift? Maybe what do I need to take away, right? Because for me, for example, I am a very compassionate person, but I had taken it to the level of people pleasing, right? And I had to evaluate that a little bit because I was putting everybody else ahead of myself. And until I was able to see that in order to continue that, in order to be able to be my best for other people, I needed to be my best for myself. And I needed to feed my soul first. And I needed to do things for myself first. And that didn't make me selfish. That made me prepared. Then I was able to advance, right? So think about those things. So what are your standards? What are you willing to do, to sacrifice, to start, to finish, to take out? And then make a deliberate commitment to move in that direction. All right. So this one a little longer than I intended it to, but hopefully it was valuable and it was helpful. So again, for clarity, we get clear on our identity, our destination, and our standards. And the main questions are, who am I? What do I really want? And what am I willing to do in order to get to what I want, in order to do what I need to do, right? So I hope this has been helpful. Again, to get additional help with this process or anything else that has to do with taking yourself from imposter to impactful, from doubtful to confident, from struggling to fulfilled, go ahead and go to marciamaro.com, set up a time for us to chat. The 30-minute path paving call is completely free. It will be completely worth your while. And at the end of it, yes, we will talk about whether it makes sense for us to continue working together or not. But it's just a free time for us to talk, for me to help you, for us to engage in the right kinds of questions to get you moving in the right direction. Until next time, share this with anybody that you think might find it helpful, and make sure to connect with marciamaro.com and find me on social media, Marcia Amaro on all the platforms. I will see you soon.